إن الحمد لله نحمده ونستعينه ونستغفره ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا ومن سيئات أعمالنا. من يهده الله فلا مضل له ومن يضلل فلا هادي له. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، أشهد أن محمدا عبده ورسوله صلى الله عليه وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا إلى يوم الدين. أما بعد. With the aid of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we are starting a new book, and where today's date is the 3rd of Dhul Qa'dah, the year 1444 from the Hijrah of the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And this book is for one of the Fursan, the Knights of the Sunnah, one of the scholars of the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah of our time. No denying it. That a lot of people have associated him with many negative meanings and connotations and so on. And we think that this is from the that this is in his hasanat, and this is from the reward that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has put for him for those who do backbiting of the shaykh or slander him. This goes to him in the form of hasanat. And this is Al-Allama Rabi' ibn Hadi Al-Madkhali, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, which is called Manhaj al-Anbiya'i fi ad-da'wati ila Allah fihi al-hikmah wal-aql. And this book has been the one who has written the introduction for this book is no one other than Al-Imam Al-Allama, the mountain, the Imam of the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah of his time, Shaykh Al-Allama Salih ibn Fawzan Al-Fawzan. And why did I decide to teach this book? I was with my Sheikh Muhammad Hisham in a private sitting, and I have asked the Sheikh to give me wasiyya, to give me advice. For the Sheikh, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, Sheikh Muhammad Hisham al-Tahiri, he said that he advises me to read this book, explain it, summarize it, and explain it to you. And I do not refuse the request of Sheikh Muhammad Hisham. So alhamdulillah, I started doing that, and today inshallah azza wa jal we will have our first session with this book. In the introduction of this book, for the second tab'ah, meaning the second publication, Shaykh Al-Allama Rabi' ibn Hadi Al-Madkhali, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, is talking about the da'wah of the prophets, the call of the prophets to Allah azza wa jal. And he's saying, ابحث أي دعوة من دعوات الفرق والأحزاب غير السلفية. He says, look at any da'wah from the da'wat, from the ways that da'wat al-firaq wal-ahzab, from the ways that parties and sects do carry out their da'wah to Allah, their call, غير السلفية, which are not Salafis. هل ترى فيها عينا أو أثرا لهذا المنهج في مدارسهم أو أفرادهم أو جماعاتهم? Do you see the effects, or do you see any traces, عفوا, for this manhaj, for this way, in any of their schools, individuals, or parties? He's talking about what? He's talking about the manhaj of the Quran and the Sunnah. the call to Tawheed and taking very good care of Tawheed and focusing on Tawheed and uniting upon this. So this is what he's talking about, the da'wah of the messengers. So he's saying, the Shaykh is saying what? He's saying that these formed sects and parties, and what is their call? Is it the same? Or are they new invented ways of da'wah? Then he says, ثُمَّ دُلَّنِي عَلَيْهِ إِن كُنْتَ صَادِقًا. He says, then show it to me if you are honest or if you are truthful. أما أنا فلا أجد عند هذه الفرق والأحزاب والأحزاب إلا حربا مستعرة على هذا المنهج وعلى أهله ولا أرى إلا الاستخفاف والسخرية بهذا المنهج وبأهله. He says, as for me, I only find that these parties and these sects always at war, as at a vicious war against this manhaj and its people. And I only see ridiculing and poking fun at this manhaj and its people. ولا أرى إلا العداوة والبغضاء. And I only see enmity and hatred لهذا المنهج وأهله, to the people of this manhaj and the manhaj and the people of this manhaj. ولا أرى إلا الحفاوة والاحترام للدعوات المنحرفة الضالة وأهلها. And I only see that they respect and they bond together with other astray and misguided da'was with their people. And this, the last one, وهذا الأخير قد تراه وتسمعه كثيرا. You will hear and see a lot. ممن يلبس لباس السلفية, from the people that wear the clothes of Salafiyya, وهم إلى خصومها أقرب. Yet they are to the people that are against Salafiyya closer. أقرب what? Closer in what? رحما. Closer in kinship, brotherhood and so on. تربط بينهم وشائج لا يعلمها إلا الله. And they have connections between them that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala knows best. Why did I choose to read this specifically from the introduction? Do you know why, ya ikhwa? Because we need to pay attention to this. We have a lot of this going on. Nowadays, we have we see also on the media, we see people, they say these are the scholars, or they make a program. Alhamdulillah. Or they make a program for the scholars, as they claim yet. And what we see is a person that in the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, their aqidah is like the Salaf. And they teach the books of Shaykh al-Islam ibn Taymiyyah and so on. But he's bonding next to him with someone whose aqidah is a Sufi aqidah, for example, when it comes to the names and attributes. And another one next to him, who in the aqidah is someone who differentiates as well and so on. So they bond. So they bond together. And sometimes you even see some disturbing stuff. They would bring somebody, and this person would have fatwa that are quite dangerous. That have to do also with like suicide bombing or something like this. Extremely dangerous. But still they would portray them they would make a show, for example, and they would portray them as scholars and so on, even though their aqidah is different. Some of these people claim to be Salafi as well, and they have the beard, the dishdasha is the thawb is above the ankles, and they say bin Baz and bin Uthaymin, but the moment they start speaking about the Salafis, you say they start giving them names and they say, no, we don't want them. And one of the very known names is Madkhali. They would say Madkhali, for example. Yani Sheikh Rabi'. They named this after Sheikh Rabi'. They say, no, these are Madakhila. We don't want them on the program. We don't want them on the show. No, we'll bond with anyone except these. But subhanAllah, the Sheikh here is pointing out to this issue. And we see this, as I told you, we see this sometimes even on TV, even on, that they will bond together with some other people that they are refuting and they are in their books. But in the program, for example, they sit together and they say these are the known du'at of the people of the Sunnah and so on. And they refuse to do what? And they refuse to be with who they call, for example, Madkhalis. And this is a reality. And this is what the Shaykh is pointing at. طيب. What does the Shaykh mean when he says that we bond upon the way of the Messenger of the Prophet ﷺ, on the Book of Allah and the Sunnah of the Messenger ﷺ? What he means is, when we speak even academically, we have in the names of and attributes the way of the Salaf al-Salih, the companions, the Tabi'een, the Tib'at Tabi'een, the A'imma, the four A'imma, Al-Bukhari, Muslim, Abu Dawood, At-Tirmidhi, and so on. And you have those who came after them. Now these, when it comes to, for example, in the names and attributes of Allah Azza wa Jal, which is one of the highest thing, if not the highest and most important thing, in the Quran, as Imam Ibn al-Qayyim rahimahullah ta'ala has mentioned, and Shaykh al-Islam Ibn Taymiyyah rahimahullah ta'ala has mentioned, that it is the most noble of fields that you study, which is the names and attributes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And as Shaykh Abdul-Razaq al-Badr has spoken, and the Imam al-Sa'di, Shaykh Abdul-Razaq al-Badr, in his very known book Fiqh al-Asma' al-Husna, and al-Imam al-Sa'di throughout his tafsir and so on. And also amongst them, you see that the Mu'tazili is doing what? Replying, even as we said, even academically, to the Ash'ari, and the Ash'ari to the Mu'tazili, and the Maturidi, and the Kullabi, and so on. They're refuting one another and so on. So what does that mean? That means that one of them has to be right. So when you say we have to unite on the Quran and the Sunnah, one of them has to be right, because you cannot have 4 contradicting things and 5 contradicting things, all of them to be correct at the same time. Keep in mind that one refutes the other. We're not saying diversity. There's no diversity. There's one that negates the other. So you have to have one. And there is no doubt, not even minutely, that the way of the Salaf al-Salih is the truth. And it is the way of the Quran. And it is the way of the Sunnah. Without any doubt that the other understandings that came after Salaf al-Salih and deviated from Salaf al-Salih. And the understanding of the Salaf al-Salih and the life of Salaf al-Salih is what we go back to, is what we tread the path of, and it is the way that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has praised in the Quran. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in Surah Al-Fatiha, in Surah Al-Tawbah, and in other of the surah in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to follow the Sahaba, the Muhajirin and the Ansar, and those who followed them with goodness. So even Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us so. So there is no doubt that those that came afterwards, they deviated. So the Shaykh is saying, what is the Shaykh saying? He's saying we need to unite upon the Quran and the Sunnah. And you see that those who don't want to unite upon the Quran and the Sunnah, you see them, they accommodate one another and they ostracize, shun the people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. The people of Sunnah and Jama'ah. This is basically what he means. طيب. And then the Shaykh speaks about Al-Hakimiyya in this introduction of his. He speaks about Al-Hakimiyya, and he speaks about the state in Islam, and he invites, Sheikh Rabi' invites everyone, أن يدركوا حق الإدراك أن قول الله تعالى, that they realize completely that the saying of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and whosoever does not, the meaning of which, whosoever does not ruling by the ruling of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then those are the kafirun, or the zalimun, or the fasiqun, the disbelievers, or the transgressors, or the deviant. He says, يتناول الأفراد والجماعات. He says that these ayat, they are for individuals as well as groups of people. والحكام والمحكومين, and the rulers and those that are ruled, يعني people as well. وأن قصرها على الحكام فقط دون أهل الأهواء والضلال, and that to make it exclusive only to the rulers, without the people of deviance and without the people of misguidance, and it's only the rulers and not the people who have deviated and the people who follow whims and desires. الذين لم يحكموا شريعة الله, the ones who did not rule by the ruling of Allah Azza wa Jal, في عقائدهم, in their aqidas, وعبادتهم وأخلاقهم, and their acts of worship and in their manners. من الجهل والضلال والغباء. The Shaykh says this is from misguidance, deviance, and stupidity. This is what the Shaykh said in the book. Why? The Shaykh says, فَقَدْ أَنزَلَهَا اللَّهُ فِي الْيَهُودِ, because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed this concerning the Jews. يَوْمَ أَنزَلَهَا, when it was revealed. So this ayah was revealed regarding the Jews. وَلَيْسَ لَهُمْ دَوْلَةٌ مِنْ قُرُونٍ, and the Jews did not have established a dawla, a country, a state. They didn't have state for hundreds of years. أنزلها فيهم وقد ضربت عليهم الذلة والمسكنة. So when this ayah was revealed, it was revealed regarding the Jews, and the Jews didn't have a state. So for you, the Shaykh saying, so for you, and this is, by the way, I'm choosing something that is extremely important so that we know the deen of Allah Azza wa Jal. The Shaykh is saying some people say that this is only the rulers. The Shaykh is saying how? The ayah is talking about everyone. Everyone should rule by the ruling of Allah Azza wa Jal. Actually, when it was revealed, it was in regards to the Jews that did not have a state at that time. So how could it be only for the rulers, while at that time it cannot apply then to them? This is what he's saying, the Shaykh. He's saying if at the time when it was revealed, it cannot be applied to them then. How was it revealed regarding the Jews? And as you know, ya ikhwa, if you go back to Ibn Jarir al-Tabari, and we have gone through this, by the way, in a lecture that I'm going to remake. I'm going to remake this lecture. We have gone through what Ibn Jarir al-Tabari said. He said this is regarding the Jews, if you remember, with isnad sahih. And this is what he has chosen as well in the meaning, that anyone, that this ayah is general to anyone who has the same condition as the Jews. Because the Jews knew and when we say Jews, by the way, we mean the Jewish people that were there before Islam, and as you know, in Medina, and also when Islam came, there were Jewish people there, and you know that in the Arabic Peninsula, especially in Medina, the Jews of Bani Qurayza and so on. Anyway, so they knew the truth, and yet they did not. They changed it and didn't want to act upon it. So the Shaykh is saying, if this is revealed for them at that time, and they didn't have a state, how is this for the rulers? We cannot even apply that at that time. That's why he said stupidity. Even if there is any harshness in this word, but he said stupidity. Because now you are making this ayah I'm explaining, and according to the Shaykh, what is understood from the Shaykh, is you're making this ayah applicable for our time and not applicable for the time it was revealed in, regarding the people it was revealed in regards to them. How? When this was sent down, it was in regards to the Jews. The reason, the cause for the Jews. طيب. How will it be then applicable for them? If it's only for rulers, then it is not. It is not. واضح هذا يا إخوة? You understand what the Shaykh is saying in this book? So he's saying this is for everyone. So all of us should rule by the ruling of Allah Azza wa Jal. All of us should apply the rulings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We cannot just choose a group of people and make takfir on them because of that. لا. This is for everyone. Everyone should rule by the ruling of Allah Azza wa Jal. Understood? Barakallahu fikum. And wallahi هذه فائدة نفيسة. I see it as a very beneficial piece of information that we don't usually hear about. طيب. And then I would like to skip and go to the part, as most of this introduction is the Shaykh replying to some people and rebuttaling them. And as I told you from the beginning of this class, that I will be doing a tahdhib of this risala, of this book, and I will, inshallah Azza wa Jal, summarize the treasures in it, the benefits, and the main points. Now I will go to the introduction that is written by Al-Allama Salih Al-Fawzan in regards to this book. Al-Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan, in the introduction of this book, he gave us the correct, firm pillars for da'wah, for correct da'wah, as the Quran and the Sunnah have indicated. Brothers, this is extremely, extremely crucial. Focus with me. Lend me your ears and listen. This is extremely relevant, especially in the da'wah scene in the English language nowadays. He says, number one. So Shaykh is giving us a summary. Shaykh Salih Fawzan saying, number one, Al-ilmu bima yad'u ilayh. He must be knowledgeable in what he is calling towards. فالجاهل, for an ignorant person, لا يصلح أن يكون داعية. Cannot be, or it is not correct that he becomes a da'iyah. He cannot be a da'iyah, a caller to Allah. قال الله تعالى لنبيه صلى الله عليه وسلم. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told his messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم, قل هذه سبيلي أدعو إلى الله على بصيرة أنا ومن اتبعني. Say, this is my way. I call to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala upon, yani the meaning of which, upon basira, I and everyone who follows me. Shaykh Salih Al-Fawzan says, وَالْبَصِيرَةُ هِيَ الْعِلْمِ, and basira is al-ilm, meaning Islamic knowledge. ولأن الداعية, and because a da'iyah, لابد أن يواجه علماء ضلال يوجهون إليه شبهات ويجادلون بالباطل, and because the caller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala must face علماء ضلال, scholars of misguidance, that يوجهون إليه شبهات ويجادلون بالباطل, that direct towards him shubuhat, suspicious matters, and ويجادلون بالباطل, and they argue with falsehood, ليدحضوا به الحق, in order to negate the truth. قال الله تعالى وجادلهم بالتي هي أحسن, Surah Al-Nahl, ayah 124. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, and argue with them with that which is best. وقال النبي صلى الله عليه وسلم, and the messenger صلى الله عليه وسلم said, إنك تأتي قوما من أهل الكتاب, that surely you come to people from the people of the book. You are going to a people who are from the people of the book. And as you know, this hadith in both, the Shaykh did not mention, but this is in Sahih al-Bukhari and Sahih Muslim, the hadith of Ibn Abbas, when he sent Mu'adh to the people of Yemen, and we have studied this hadith in the book of Tawheed together. He told him, you are coming to a people that are from the people of the book. فإذا لم يكن الداعية مسلحا بالعلم, Shaykh Salih Fawzan says, so if the caller to Allah is not fortified, is not equipped with Islamic knowledge, الذي يواجه به كل شبهة ويجادل به كل خصم, that by which he faces every suspicious matter and argues with every opponent, فإنه سينهزم في أول لقاء وسيقف في أول الطريق. Then he will lose, he will be conquered, he will lose in the first meeting, and he will stop at the start of the road. So when we want to listen to someone, ya ikhwa, I'm adding, if we want to listen to someone, he must what? He must be studying, he must be knowledgeable, he must be on the way of the ulama, not somebody that is not knowledgeable, not someone that even admits it publicly and says that I am not knowledgeable, I am not a scholar, I didn't study, I didn't. Why should we listen? يعني, if we listen, imagine we listen to someone who, let's call a medical speaker instead of calling a doctor. A medical speaker, a medical thinker, because now we have Islamic thinkers. So we say a medical thinker. Listen to them and implement that with our health. We're gonna suffer. We're gonna suffer. So that's why we have to be very careful and very cautious. We say, no, you have to ask a doctor. You have to go to a hospital. You have to go to, why? Because what is a medical thinker? He might harm you because he didn't study medicine, doesn't know medicine. Same thing applies to Islam, by the way, ya ikhwa. You need someone who studies, someone who's specialized, someone who has taken the ilm from the ulama. طيب. Number 2. العمل بما يدعو إليه. That he acts upon that which he is calling towards. حتى يكون قدوة. So that he becomes a role model. حسنة. A good role model. تصدق أفعاله أقواله ولا يكون للمبطلين عليه حجة. ولا يكون للمبطلين عليه حجة. So that he becomes a good qudwa, a good role model, and that his actions testify to what he says, and that the falsifiers, and those who are those who are misguided, the falsifiers don't have evidence against him. طيب. Number 3, sincerity. That his da'wah should be sincere to Allah Azza wa Jal. He does not intend from it riya, showing off, wala sum'a, or reputation, wala taraffu'an wa ri'asa, and no high status and wanting high positions and statuses, wala tama'an min matami'i dunya, and nothing from the greed of this dunya, worldly life. لأنها إذا دخلها شيء من تلك المقاصد لم تكن دعوة لله. Because if these intentions were to be intended, if they are included, then this da'wah is no longer da'wah for Allah Azza wa Jal. وإنما هي دعوة للنفس. However, it is only da'wah for oneself. أو للطمع المقصود, or for the greed that is desired. كما أخبر الله عن أنبيائه أنهم يقولون لأممهم, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has told us that the prophets say to their nations, لا أسألكم عليه أجرا, as in Surah Ash-Shura ayah 23, and in Surah Hud ayah 29, لا أسألكم عليه مالا, the meaning of which, I do not ask from you a reward. And in the other surah, I do not ask from you wealth. Allahu Akbar. Yani now, if you want to say, who should I listen to in Arabic, in English, in whatever language it is that you want to listen to, who's the da'i that I should listen to? Because we have a lot now, especially with social media. Who should I listen to? Who should I? Number one, someone who has knowledge about what he is making da'wah of. Number two, that he acts upon this. Number three, that he is sincere and he is not looking for dunya and status and so on. Like number four, al-bada'atu bil-aham fal-aham. Starting with that which is most important, and after that, that which is of lesser importance. بأن يدعو أولا إلى إصلاح العقيدة بالأمر بإخلاص العبادة لله والنهي عن الشرك. That he starts by making da'wah first to rectifying the aqidah, belief, by commanding sincerity in worship to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and forbidding disbelief or associating others with him. ثم الأمر ثم الأمر بإقامة الصلاة وإيتاء الزكاة. Then afterwards, commanding to establishing the salah and zakah. وفعل الواجبات وترك المحرمات كما هي طريقة الرسل جميعا. And to carry out to carry out obligations and to abandon that which is forbidden, which is the way of all of the messengers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, وَلَقَدْ بَعَثْنَا فِي كُلِّ أُمَّةٍ رَسُولًا أن اعبدوا الله واجتنبوا الطاغوت وقال تعالى وما أرسلنا من قبلك من رسول إلا نوحي إليه أنه لا إله إلا أنا فاعبدون. Surah Al-Anbiya. The first ayah is ayah number 36 from Surah Al-Nahl, and the second one is ayah 25 from Surah Al-Anbiya. The meaning of which, and we have sent in every nation a messenger to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and stay away from taghut, everything worshipped besides Allah Azza wa Jal. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the other ayah, and we have only sent before you messengers that we revealed to them that there is no deity truly worthy of worship except me, so worship me. Number 5, الصبر على ما يلاقي في سبيل الدعوة إلى الله. Patience upon what he will face in the way of calling to Allah Azza wa Jal from hardships. من المشاق وما يواجه من أذى الناس, and what he will face from the harm of people. لأن طريق الدعوة ليس مفروشا بالورود, because the way of da'wah to Allah Azza wa Jal is not paved with roses, with flowers. وإنما هو محفوف بالمكاره والمخاطر. However, it is with that which is disliked and that which is feared of. يعني محفوف meaning that this is what you're going to encounter, that this is what is what you will find. يعني a lot of adversaries, harm, and so on. وخير أسوة في ذلك هم الرسل صلوات الله وسلامه عليهم. And the best of role models in that, and the best of examples, are the messengers صلوات الله وسلامه عليهم. يعني the Sheikh Salih al-Fawzan saying that the way of the messengers and the prophets is filled with what? Is filled with that which is hated and feared. يعني harm, adversaries, and so on. And this is the way of the messengers and the prophets. So those who follow them need patience when they face such a thing. Number 6, على الداعية أن يكون متحليا بالخلق الحسن. A caller to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala should have good manners. Focus on this. Good manners. مستعملا للحكمة في دعوته. Using wisdom in his da'wah. يعني يا أخوة, even if you're making da'wah to your family, you need this. You have to have knowledge. You have to be patient. You have to act upon what you are calling towards. You have to use wisdom. And so on. And you have to be sincere to Allah Azza wa Jal, because this affects your da'wah, ya akhwa. If you're not sincere, you might get punished for that even in your da'wah itself. And if you are not using wisdom, you might repel the closest people to you. So pay attention to these great meanings that Shaykh Salih al-Fawzan is giving as an introduction to this book. لأن هذا أدعى لقبول دعوته كما أمر الله نبييه الكريمين موسى وهارون. Because this makes it more likely that people accept your da'wah, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has commanded his two noble prophets, Musa and Harun, عليهما الصلاة والسلام, أن يستعملا ذلك في مواجهة أكثر أهل الأرض, that they use that, meaning good manners and wisdom, in the face of the biggest kafir on the face of the earth, or that has ever walked the earth. أكثر أهل الأرض, meaning literally the worst kafir, يعني the biggest kafir of the people of earth. وهو فرعون, which is Fir'aun, الذي ادعى الربوبية, who has claimed ربوبية for himself. حيث قال سبحانه وتعالى in Surah Taha, ayah 44, فقولا, so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in ayah 44 Surah Taha said, فقولا له قولا لينا لعله يتذكر أو يخشى. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, so say to him lenient words so that he may remember or fear. وقال تعالى لموسى عليه الصلاة والسلام in Surah Al-Nazi'at ayah 17 to 19, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told Musa, اذهب إلى فرعون إنه طغى, the meaning of which, go to Fir'aun, for he has transgressed, meaning all bounds. فقل هل لك إلى أن تزكى وأهديك إلى ربك فتخشى. Say, would you purify yourself, and I guide you to your Rabb, and you fear. وقال تعالى في حق نبينا محمد عليه الصلاة والسلام, and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said to our messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam, can somebody post the translation for this ayah, ayah 159 of Surah Al-Imran, ayah 159 from Surah Al-Imran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, فبما رحمة من الله لنت لهم ولو كنت فظا غليظ القلب لانفضوا من حولك. طيب, since nobody has, maybe because there's a little bit of delay, I am looking it up, inshallah. طيب, I have it. And by the mercy of Allah, you dealt with them gently. And had you been severe and harsh-hearted, they would have broken away from you. طيب. This is the meaning of the ayat. But number 7, Shaykh Salih Fawzan, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala preserve him, said, طيب. طيب, number 7 is actually quite long, so we will keep it inshallah azza wa jal for next time, for next week. So we stopped at number 7, and we stop here inshallah azza wa jal. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.